The Texas State Fair has been canceled for 2020. We got to talk about the ramifications of that after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. At 11 a.m. this day, Tuesday, the Texas State Fair announced that it is being canceled for 2020. And I think we got to talk about it, right? So let's make sure that we're working on the same facts here. And this is from the website. It says, until we meet again, the State Fair of Texas. After extensive consideration of the current landscape related to the COVID-19 pandemic and health and safety of all fairgoers, staff, business partners, and overall community, the State Fair of Texas Board of Directors has voted to cancel the 2020 State Fair of Texas. Goes on to say, the safest and most responsible decision we could make for all involved at this point in our 134-year history is to take a hiatus for the 2020 season. Now, the decision-making process was extensive for this. They want everybody to know that. The fair gathered input from fairgoers, concessionaires, commercial exhibitors, midway operators, auto manufacturers, business partners, staff, medical experts, government officials to consider what coming back and coming to that conclusion really does mean. Many of you know that the State Fair of Texas has only been canceled a couple of times, but let's make sure that everybody's got the same facts here. This will be the first time since World War II that the State Fair of Texas has not opened. The State Fair of Texas has previously canceled fairs because of World War I, 1918, planning for the 1936 Texas Centennial Exposition and 1937 Pan American Exposition at Fair Park, 1935 to 1937, and then World War II, 1942 to 1945. The 2021 State Fair of Texas is scheduled to run September 24th through Sunday, October 17th at historic Fair Park. That is also where OU Texas is annually held, at the Cotton Bowl, just outside and around the State Fair itself. I got to go last year for Oklahoma's really great win against Texas. So what does that mean for that game? It means three possible outcomes. One is you take a game that's usually played in the Cotton Bowl and you move it to AT&T Stadium at Jerry World, right? Which would make some sense, especially if the NFL is still continuing to have its season, because the Big 12 championship is already held at AT&T Stadium. And this year, I'm sure Jerry Jones would love to get it and would love to get the income, especially if you can have some fans in the stands. The next outcome that I could see is making that a home and home for the next 2 years, in which case OU Texas would be in Norman this year, and that would be the first time that's happened in like 100 years. That would be very cool, but also would offend the traditionalists. And then there's the other thing that could happen, which is that you play the Cotton Bowl, but you play it without the fair, which feels wrong. And I can't see how the State Fair of Texas would be okay with you playing inside the Cotton Bowl when they're not having the fair. Kind of defeats the purpose. And understanding who runs the Cotton Bowl, right, which is a number of different people, and how they might feel about using the Cotton Bowl in this way to feature a game that is supposed to be a featured part of an event that is no longer going to happen. All of this coming down on July 7th, which is good 3 months from when OU Texas is traditionally held. And this is also the latest event to happen that is looking more and more like a bleak fall college football season, or outright canceling it in the fall and just playing in spring 2021, which is totally doable. And Lincoln Riley has said so. And I think that if there are enough people that feel that way, it's going to happen. Also add to this, Rutgers is going to have most of its students stay off campus, and they're going to cancel a bunch of activities, but they're going to leave up to the state and the Big Ten how they were going to manage athletic events. We all know that Rutgers football is trash, but Rutgers football gets like $40 million for playing football. They want that money, especially in this year that Greg Schiano is supposed to be in year one of the comeback for the Scarlet Knights, along with former Oklahoma State and Princeton offensive coordinator Sean Gleason. It's also fascinating at this time when Harvard is pushing most of its classes to be online, which means that they're not actually going to give you anything but the name. And we all have data to show that virtual learning, distance learning, is not as good as in-person learning, but is the best that we can hope for in some cases. Oklahoma is still planning to open up its campus in the fall for fall semester while taking some necessary precautions, having a bunch of kids on campus and playing a football season as of today. Now, the state of Texas is in dire straits with the COVID numbers spiking, so much so that you have seen Greg Abbott say, hey, look, you got to wear masks now. And we're casually sort of trying to shut down how many people get to go to said restaurant or bar. And we're seeing that across the country as this COVID numbers continue to spike. Right now, the United States is responsible for just 4% of the world's population. Just 4%. We are responsible for 25% of the known cases for the world, which is 4% of the known population. They've got this under control in China, in Korea, in Europe. We don't have it under control here. And we went from being able to get out of this by this time to open it up what feels like 6 weeks too soon. And now we are hard charging toward either one, another quarantine lockdown, or two, overwhelming our medical facilities. And I got to tell you, man, if the masks are working, I don't see why nobody can wear masks and why you shouldn't have a state and United States mandate to wear masks. These arguments that people are having in grocery stores about this stuff is just asinine. But more than that, economically speaking, you have an argument for wearing masks because Goldman Sachs has lowered its projections on what it expects labor to look like in July and August and how much money it expects to see circulated throughout the United States in July and August, based in large part on the COVID numbers. But we have data to show that if everybody was made to wear a mask, the number of cases goes down by 60%. And we could still very much get this under control by the time we would want to play football. And that's what everybody wants to do. They want to be able to get back to something like normal, but normal is going to have to be normal with mask on. Now, in my hometown, Tulsa, Mayor Bynum has said that all restaurant and bar employees have to wear masks, but he has not gone so far as to say that all citizens must wear a mask. And in not saying that, we also need to acknowledge that GT is up for re-election in August. And I don't think he's trying to piss anybody off any more than he's already pissed them off. But many of the people running against him don't really have that great a chance. But be that as it may, he has gone from being a champion of lockdown and quarantine in March to hosting a presidential rally here in June. It's quite a flip for what he was thinking at a time when his public health official was all like, yo, this is probably not a good idea. In which case he was like, no, the president's coming. We're going to welcome the president. We're going to open up, be okay. So we had a bunch of people already out for protest before that. And then we had a bunch of people that were already out for protest and the rally during that. And now we are all seeing the ramifications of this across the country, let alone in Oklahoma. So that's news. Let me know, where do you think OU Texas should be played? Or do you think it's going to be played at all in the comments below? Doses.